My name's Jordan Wilson. The Belkin approached me to write about outdoor art on Ubyssey campus. And being that I'm a Musqueam community member, I thought about writing about the house posts on campus, more specifically the Musqueam house posts. So the tour on campus begins here at the Botanical Gardens. There aren't any house posts here. However, 90 years ago, there were 2 Musqueam posts that were sold to the University Alumni Association in 1927. And so at that time, there wasn't really recognition of Indigenous people as having a living culture and the rights to their culture. Instead, Indigenous culture, including the house posts, were really kind of representing the university's interests. Behind me is a version of the Tsimlanach post. The post is referred to as Man Meets Bear, and there's no mention of Musqueam, there's no mention of Tsimlanach. This is rendered as a welcome pole, but it's a bit unclear who's doing the welcoming in this instance. There's this implication that Ubyssey is welcoming students to the residents here at Totem Park, as opposed to Musqueam welcoming visitors to its unceded territory. Behind me is the house post of qeqən. We can think about house posts as being connected to Musqueam law and Musqueam forms of governance. qeqən was a renowned warrior, but also a leader of our community. And so there's a relationship between the post, which depicts the legendary qeqən, and this idea of Musqueam law, governance, and leadership. This is a relatively quick stop at the First Nations House of Learning. Susan Point's house post representing Musqueam is one of 4 house posts that hold up the beams. And if you look around, the different posts and artwork within this space represent the traditions of the Haida, the Haisla, the Heiltsuk, Nisga'a, Tahltan, Tlingit, Tsimshian, as well as Musqueam, which are all very disparate groups. So within this space, there's many different cultures and aesthetic traditions that are represented. This location is important for the works that you can see behind me and in front of the museum. So these posts are replicas of 2 posts that are now at the American Museum of Natural History in New York City. Chief Johnny Huahuailak only agreed to sell the posts to the museum on the condition that they would be displayed with their connection to qeqən being expressed. You know, it's noted in the records that he wanted the post to be understood as part gift. This post, like many of the artworks installed here, came to campus on the occasion of the 2010 Olympics, which were hosted not just by Vancouver, but by the 4 host First Nations, which Musqueam was a part of. This post was commissioned to celebrate the university's 100th anniversary. It's representing a narrative that is very important to our community, as it's the narrative of how we became known as the Musqueam people. At the time of the Botanical Gardens, the language that was being used was very past-oriented, that this land once belonged to the Musqueam, whereas now there's this active recognition that Ubyssey is still Musqueam land. For me, it's a nice way to end the tour, because it's thinking about the house posts as marking these chapters or marking these specific periods of time, and we can kind of trace the changing relationship and think about what's in store for the ongoing relationship between my community of Musqueam and this university.